like to share as far as having daughters incarcerated, and what were their ages, if you don't mind, or just share a little bit as a mother how that felt.
Well, my oldest, she was actually 17 when she went into the system, and they didn't trial her until she made 18. So that was, one of the discrepancies that went into the scenario with her. And simultaneously, she got kicked out of every public school in the state of Texas. And everything just seemed like it just was a snowball effect. Just every system just gave up on her. The school system was zero tolerance. So therefore, the way the road was paved was that she was already destined for destruction. But, me being a praying mother and a mother that didn't give up on my kids, and knowing that I gave them purpose, drive, direction, and motivation, that's what I continue to do. I continue to be consistent. No matter what society said, no matter what the naysayers said, I continue to be consistent. I continue to be that support system for my daughter. And through it all, and being that support system and having other people along with me being that encourager and that support system for both of them, I really feel that that's how they all came to the point where they were able to navigate from being what society considered as a dysfunctional youth to a functional adult.
Okay, right. And able to, do they have, and then having that family, like you said, that consistent, that support system, and that, okay, I thought I heard. All righty, and just having that, that support system and things as well. I think as far as with my family, my sisters especially, they said, hey, I think he's going to be okay when he comes out, because we just have to have that support.
Yeah, they need that.
And they need that. Okay, Miss, I always want to say Nikita. Nita? Oh, you froze. Are you there? She froze up.
My mic is
there you go. All right, yeah, you froze up. Can you share with us? I know you have an amazing ministry. Tell us your name one more time so everybody will know.
Okay, it's Miss Nita.
Miss Nita. I was saying Nita, and then I was like Nika, and then you froze. But yes, you have an amazing. Tell Miss Brown and Renata and them that are online, your ministry. I saw your interview with Mr. Russell. He had interviewed me as well. And I went back and I saw your interview, and you have an amazing ministry, and had no idea, again, here in Killeen, the things that you do. So if you would share with us what you do.
Oh, yes. What I do is I'm starting a nonprofit organization. And this is for people that have criminal records. And you know how society, they kick them out of the world, pretty much, saying you can't get housing, you can't get a job, and it just kind of it doesn't give them any hope for society to move forward, and it causes a lot of depression. It's a high rate of suicide, because they feel like they can't talk to anybody because they feel like nobody can relate to what they're dealing with. So what I do is I go around and I talk to people, and pretty much looking for jobs and housing for them, and just showing awareness in our communities that it's global, and what made me reach out far as, what you have going on, because it starts from the children. A lot of stuff happens, it starts from youth. So if we can reach them from the youth, then we can actually help them be better adults. Especially our men, our men need it, because a lot of our men are missing out of the homes.
Right. And
I'm smiling because God does not make a mistake. My future endeavors consist of a center called Jay's Royalty Quality Life Center, which will bring about reintegration of anyone that's coming out of the prison system to reunite with their family, giving them school training and job placement. My agency will bed them as well as give them work employment for up to 6 months, and then get them back into society. My agency will contract them into society so they don't have to be revetted again and have to reserve their time all over again mentally, because no one won't hire them. As well as house youth age 16. Instead of them going into the juvenile system, have them come and be on my homestead and give them a place where they can get their high school diploma and then go into a trade or college. So when I say God can make no mistake,
That's beautiful. I love that. And you know, we're gonna be contacting you. Like I'm
gonna be contacting you.
There you go. There you go. And it's one of those things for that reentry and that reentry program, and just having, because I as a mother, and you know, we've come here and made it home, but I am honestly, I'm scared to death for my son to come back here. I just don't. That familiarity is that when they get caught up into things like that, and also just being in a small place and looking at the number of young men and women that have went through Bell County and the type of sentences they've gotten.
And the halfway house mentality is terrible.
Yes.
You know, it's just, you know, having family members that go from being incarcerated, being in the prison system, being in the county system, and then coming out and being in the halfway houses. And they, you know, especially those that have been battling with drug addictions, they become worse drug addicts when they get into the halfway houses and things like that, you know. And so, you know, I'm looking to having the holistic approach in helping families men and helping people men, and, you know, how all aspects of the holistic care, holistic nutrition, holistic counseling, just taking care of the whole man.
Right. And, Marquise, you were on here first. You've been waiting for a little bit. He's up, and he just finished school. He's up in Oklahoma, and he has been my son's friend since second grade. Third grade. And whenever he comes home to Killeen, you know, he comes in, he checks on me, and he stays with us. And, you know, he called me yesterday, and he's like, oh, I just talked to Isaiah, you know. He is, like you were saying, Ms. Brown, we have these other children, we have these sons that we're connected to. We didn't give birth to them, but my God, these are my babies. And we may not be their biological mothers, but again, that village, we are the ones that a lot of times they'll come to, you know, and seek help from and all that stuff. And then we connect together as families and then make sure we can do what we need to do. But Marquise, can you just share with us, you were there that night at the trial and all of that, and just kind of, you want to, just from your point of view, how old are you now, Marquise?
20.
20. And my son just turned 20 today. And I said, I'm just going to do this. I talked to him early, and I said, hey, we're having this meeting. Can't come and visit you. So we're going to do this in, you know, just kind of in honor, not condoning, but in honor of, you know, your birthday and stuff. So Marquise, share with us just a little bit.
About the trial?
Well, about anything. How this, what I wanted to be tonight was how incarceration affects us as a family, as friends, as a community.
Well, this kind of made me question, like, freedom, like, it's how easy it was for them to just decide, like, 15 years, like, this life. It's that easy to take it away. Like, it took a few hours and that was it. And then, you know, he's in the system now, and he's with all them people, them bad people and stuff. He doesn't deserve to be around. So it just kind of desensitized me a little bit.
Yeah. And I remember that night you were really angry. And I remember when I tried to like hug you or touch you, you were very, very angry. Do you still have that anger?
Yes.
Were you angry at Isaiah for the decision, or you meant angry at how the judge handled things, or just all of it in a whole?
Just the whole system.
The whole system. Yeah.
I wasn't mad at it.
Yeah.
Like at that point.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember you saying, Marquise, how we were there that night, and I think she made that decision in less than 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, and you know, the last word she said to him, oh, you know, somebody needs to mute. I'm not sure what that noise is. We'll get around to, all right. And so I'm not sure why she kind of threw that out there. I don't know if it was supposed to be comforting or not. I found it condescending, but I remember she's saying he'll get out young enough to start over. And I thought to myself, what
He'll be out in 7 years. She said, he'll be out in 7 years. He'll be young enough to start.
Yeah. Yeah. He said he'll be out in seven years. That'll be young enough for you to start over. And I got to thinking, what Black man at 24 years old with a felony can start over? You know, but I don't know, Miss Nika,
I just pray I'll be situated to be in place when he's ready. When
right.
he comes home. I'm just, oh my God, that puts fire under me.
Yeah.
That puts fire under me to get everything rolling, get everything started. Because, you know, the way I'm looking at it, it's like I'll have a place not only for training, but also for employment and for, you know, because that's one of our future leaders.
Yes.
That because of a decision that was like my daughters. The first one, she made a stupid decision at age 17 to go riding with a friend wherever they went instead of going to the mall where they were supposed to go. Was in the car with some other people, and the guys that they was with shot somebody, and she got arrested for association. She didn't even know the guy that was driving, that did the shooting.
That's deep.
Wow.
You know, so it's just things like that. My youngest daughter, you know, I still call her cuckoo for Cocoa Puff sometimes because she decided she would take a rap for a friend that was bringing drugs across the state line from Colorado to Texas.
Wow.
So, and both of them have college degrees, but because of them little decisions right there that they made, they can't get the jobs that go along with the degrees that they have.
Right.
Yeah. So pretty much now they got college debt, but they.
Right. Mm-hmm. Ms. Nika, you're freezing up. Renata, are you there?
I am here.
Hey, Renata. Miss Nika, you probably can hear us, but you keep freezing up.
Yeah, hopefully she can hear us.
Yes. Hey,
Now
Renata.
I hear y'all. What y'all say?
Okay.
We said you were freezing.
Okay,
Your screen was freezing up.
Renata's on the line, and she is a part of Mothers for Sons. She stepped forward with her expertise and things like that last year, and coming forth and said, hey, you know, I've been on charities and different things before. I had no idea what I was doing and trying to get started and everything. So I was like, okay, I need somebody to just really kind of help me out and things like that. And, you know, with being a teacher and things like that, a lot of times, the times like this, because I wanted to do a round table, but, you know, with teaching and stuff, and now I'm like, with everything that's happened, why not? With all the Zoom and we're doing everything online, we can come together still and not be, you know, in a brick and mortar place. It's free, you know, we're not trying to get anybody to get tickets, you know, and just to talk and get the conversation out there. So Renata, what do you want to share with us today?
Wow. So it seems amazing to me that we've only got, you know, the 5 of us here, but just the parallels across everything that you guys are saying. So I am a mother of sons, but I have 2 teenage boys, wonderful boys, never been in trouble. And it's just so amazing how often the story like Miss Angela just told, how often we're hearing that now. You know, you make one split decision. I've been trying to drill into my boys' heads for a year since they were little. You know, be careful of the company you keep. And, you know, just how one bad decision can change your life forever, you know, and I think that they take so much for granted that they don't see that. You know, they have their friends, they want to be cool, they want to be popular, they want to be, you know, recognized for this, that, or the other. And I try to tell them all the time, you know, the people that you are trying to impress now, they're in the 8th and 9th grades now, respectively. But when, even a few years ago, I was saying to them, in 5 years, you won't know where most of these kids are, or you won't even care. You know, so if you're trying now to impress somebody or to, you know, impress upon somebody, something that's completely irrelevant now, I'm like, when a few years go by, all of these things that you've done and all these decisions that you've made based on what you thought that person thought of you or was going to think, you know, think more highly of you for whatever reason, it's all going to be for naught, you know, and they can't see that. Having boys, I think they mature a little. I know they mature, but have matured a lot more slowly than I did, but I always hear that boys mature at a slower rate than girls. And so it just, you know, blows my mind that my sons, you know, the way that they think that they're invincible, that, you know, nothing's going to happen. Mom, you worry too much. You know, I got this. This is slight work. I mean, you know, they say all of these things. But I have a cousin, and we were very close growing up. He's 3 years older than me, and I'm an only child. So he was like my big brother. And when I went off to college, he went off to prison.
Wow.
And so, as far as I
I
know, I mean,
think
he
her
had
mic
some,
stopped working.
are you having trouble hearing me?
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, go ahead, Miss Renata.
Yeah, but I was in college, so I think he had gotten into some minor trouble while I was away that I wasn't aware of.
Can anyone hear me?
We can hear you fine. But I moved away, and after he'd gotten into some trouble, after I got out of college, he came to live with me for a while, you know, in my mind thinking, if I got him out of the environment and allowed him, you know, to kind of see people doing different things, that he would straighten his life up or whatever. But he was married and had a few young kids. And after a while, you know, I told him, I said, I'm enabling you to not be the father that you need to be, to not be the husband that you need to be. So I told him he needed to go back home to his family. And I was living in Houston at the time, and my family was in Kansas. And so on his way back from Houston to Kansas, one of his friends came to pick him up, and I don't know what all they were doing, but he went back to jail on his way back. In that trip, he never made it home. And that was my last time seeing him. He lived with me from 91 to 93. And I can't say I've never seen him since, but I did go visit him in prison one time, but that was when his mom died, and that was still like 20 years later or 15 years later. But my point being, he made, you know, these decisions that he thought were, you know, light decisions or whatever. And in Kansas at the time, they were just starting to implement some of these policies that we're seeing more often now. And the inequities in, you know, the judicial system and the justice system just blew my mind. So when I saw Miss Carla doing this with everything that I was trying to talk to my sons about, even about my cousin, you know, sometimes he would call and I would try, this is when they were a little bit younger, he'd call and I'd try to put them on the phone, you know, but all they wanted to know was, why are you in jail? You know, what did you do? And they think that everyone in jail, because of their, you know, naivety, but they just thought anyone that's in prison, they did something, you know, horrible.
Right.
And they couldn't see that there's a system that's already set against you from the word go. From the day you know, say the wrong thing to the wrong person or step out of line or are in the wrong place at the wrong time, you know, affiliated with the wrong people. And Ms. Anita said something about that, but just, you know, being by association, you know, they don't see that. And so I wanted to be involved at the grassroots level in something that is going to allow us to reach these kids before they get to that point. And you guys mentioned like an age of reckoning where they start to process things and start to be a little more rational and start to, you know, kind of think through things logically. But part of it being, I think, the way our society has raised them, and part of it being, that most of the children in this generation coming up, I know we've sheltered them. My mom is here with us now, but she says that all the time. Well, they can't do this because you always did it for them. And, now I'm a single mom, but just thinking it was always easier for me to just do it for them than to wait it out or to try to show them or to, go through this lengthy process. And now that they're teenagers, I see what she was talking about. I see what she was talking about. So, I think it's time now for us to try to not only address some of the inequalities, but to bring them to the forefront, to make people, especially the young people, aware of them. Because until they're in the system, I don't think that they get, you can find yourself stuck. You can find yourself stuck without proper counsel. You can find yourself stuck without education. If you have the education, as Miss Angela was saying, you can find yourself stuck without opportunity when you do come out. So they need to be able to understand the implications of those decisions that they take so lightly at these tender ages, whether it's 15 or 16 or 17. I know Miss Carla had an event that me and my sons were able to attend, but just to bring to the forefront the things that we don't know. And most of it you will not know until you're thrust into it. And then, in my mind, I'm thinking, just understanding everything that I didn't know, understanding that then it's too late to try to go back and grapple for all the knowledge and all the resources and all the tools, to make sure that you're giving them the best shot of understanding, this is not how this is supposed to go. Here in Texas, and Ms. Carla, I don't know if either of the ladies are aware, but when we had the attorneys come in and they tell us, that here in Texas, they can question your kids without you for like up to 6 hours. And I've been telling my sons all along, don't say anything till I get there. Don't say anything till I get there. So that what I had been teaching them would have been for naught, So after that event, I was able to go back to them and say, no, this is what you're going to say. I have just one of the monthly legal plans. I signed up for a family plan. I put, the number in each of their backpacks. And if anything ever happens, you tell them you don't want to talk to anybody without an attorney. It's not going to be that they're going to wait for a parent to show up. But if you have legal counsel, which I wanted to make sure that mine did, because like I said, you could just be walking down the street with the wrong color shirt on nowadays and find yourself in somebody's interrogation room. And then the rest could be history. So, just trying to drill some of those things into not just my kids, but, kids as they're coming through, that this whole thing, it could be you. It really could be you.
Yeah, I have Phyllis Jones and Rhonda Brown on Facebook Live. They are watching, and Ms. Jones was bringing it to my attention today. And I know you've heard in the news, and I think I put in the invite too. We talk about COVID-19. I know I'm devastated. I couldn't go see my son, but at the same time, I am fine if it keeps him safe and from us bringing anything in or people showing up there visiting. So all of this is an inconvenience, but it's at the same time, it's to keep them safe and protected. But Ms. Jones is saying that the problem we are having, the county jails and prisons are backdooring inmates to other jails and prisons that are COVID-19 positive.
And not only that, we have to make sure they're not safe. They're not safe. They're living in a community area. If college campuses send their children home because they're living in a community campus, any jail system that a youth is in or a young adult is in, if their crimes were not of a caliber where they would, it would have caused them to be a detriment to society, they should have been released when this situation started. There are several organizations out there right now that are becoming active in getting that taken care of, and to make sure that 100% of the jail population is tested for coronavirus, because they are acting like the prison workers don't go home.
Right, and they come
back and forth. So they're not safe. They're not safe.
Right.
Yeah, they trying to treat them since they got a crime. It's like, oh well, who matters if y'all got COVID-19, and that's not right.
No.
Miss Phyllis actually posted something earlier, Carla, that I tried to tag you in. I don't know if it was my phone or if it was the actual post. But there's an organization, and I guess they're specific to the Houston area. But I think we either need to, get a representative to talk about either expanding similar programs since they already have something. But you can ask Ms. Phyllis if she can either speak to that. She just posted it a few hours ago. She could either speak to that or tag you in that so that we can discuss that. Because if there are already organizations out there, I know they don't have the resources to reach, every place in Texas where the laws would be similar. But if they could share, how they got started and if they have a network of attorneys and that sort of thing. But those things that Ms. Angela was just talking about, that's exactly what they're addressing. They're saying if there's someone who is awaiting trial, hasn't pled guilty, and they're just sitting there, because of what's going on, their focus is to try to get them home. If they have a family to come home to, and they didn't violate parole, or they have a couple of different conditions, but those people should be able to be released home to their families during this time.
Well, I mean, and that was the plan originally, but I mean, our governor he went back on that. He's the one who went back on that and said, okay, we're not releasing anymore. And that's when it halted. That's when it stopped. But I did see the post, Miss Phyllis, when she messaged me, and I was probably online with the kids at that time, but I'll go back and look. But I do know she did say the AACP has stepped in. So that would be something that we could really look at. And I think I asked the question, I believe last night or the night before, is anybody on here who has a family member or you live close to a unit, that has tested positive? And I know for sure that Gatesville, right here close to us, they have several positive cases, and everything. And so a prison guard I just read today passed away in Amarillo, a prison guard. And so another one had passed away earlier. So it's happening and it's spreading. I thank God so far where my son is, there's no positive cases that came through, but I think all they did was take their fever. I'm not sure what their testing whole process is. It didn't sound like it was very, very thorough, but all they did was come around. They had someone who showed some of the symptoms. He ended up not being positive, but then they went around and they've been testing everybody. So they are shut down for hours at a time, and they're not able to really come outside of their cells except for a couple of hours. And then he said they rotate through. So they're trying to have some type of plan, but you're right. It's not like, these guards go home and then they come back and they're going home to their families and things like that. And so they're more susceptible of bringing it into the prison system. Have you guys, I wanted to ask you guys, have you ever thought to talk about, now, and I don't believe in censoring and things like this, and Marquise, you can probably chime in on this, and I'm not, I don't believe, I know my son got caught up in a really bad crowd. He kind of kept a lot of things hidden, even from Marquise that's on the line. He just kind of got caught up, and I don't know what happened, or, that night he was there. I don't know if, you know how these kids are. If oh, you a punk this, if you don't go do this, I don't know. And I don't want to speculate. And sometimes it's, my son himself has moved past this, because he said the night that he got to apologize and he got to ask for forgiveness, he was done. He said it was like a weight lifted over him. He was done. He said, Mom, let me just do what I've done, and go ahead and get through this. And he's never once complained. He's never once blamed anybody. The thing of it is, though, him being a first-time offender, I was devastated when we called and we couldn't find him and we couldn't talk to him. I had no idea. Another reason for Mothers for Sons, I didn't want, and Renata was saying that too at the session that we had, what to do if your teen is arrested. I don't want people to feel like I felt or my husband felt. Girl, I did not know in the state of Texas that when you are 17, you are considered an adult, but you can't vote. You can't
Came
smoke.
back. Nothing.
You can't. I don't know. I don't even know. I guess you could probably get married, but you can't vote. You can't even join the military.
And that's what I said. They waited till my daughter got 17 before they tried her. She was 16 when she got arrested, and it was during the summertime. And her birthday's August, so she sat in jail for 3 months. Then
They
they
did
said,
that on purpose.
Yeah.
They did that
And that was here in Texas, Ms. Brown?
yes.
Here in Texas? Yeah. And I don't know if I wish Miss Phyllis was on here. I don't know if it's Miss Phyllis or Rhonda. Somebody was telling me, I believe it was Miss Turner. I don't know if you guys know Carolyn Turner, and she has the wonderful, the private school over here on Old, I think it's Old 440 over here off of Stan Sluter. I was hoping she would be on there, but she has a kids academy. Her and her son, they have a really good enrollment with kids enrolling there in private school.
And then it was like back then when it happened. Well, my daughter's 30 now, but when that happened, they didn't have a lot of high school age private schools are in the area that was affordable. I had to send her to Waco, to Methodist Children's Home in Waco.
Just for her to finish school.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was going to ask you all is there anything, and Ms. Nika, I want to go back to you, and I know you've shared a little bit of your story. Was there anything, well, of course, I don't know how, there's so many things that we didn't know about the justice system, because unless you start to go through it and you have to learn as you go. Again, then not everybody's talking about it. Not everybody, people want to call you over and share their favorite recipe or the gossip about some celebrity or whatever, but nobody will sit up and tell you, oh, last year when my son's, girl, y'all need to know this. Because it's like taboo. It's like something we don't want to talk about, and we really need to talk about it, because I'm telling you, knowledge is power. The thing that we don't know will be the very thing that, and I thought, 2-parent home, we're doing okay. My husband's retired military. We could afford a lawyer. We thought we were getting a pretty good lawyer, but a lawyer still did not take away the fact that we're people of color. Some of the things that were implied during the trial. They were looking through things to see, what is it called? Looking at, wanting to tag on organized crime, because see, if they would have said that it was organized, they could have said my son was a gang member.
Mm-hmm. And that's just like with my daughter. Thank God it happened when it happened 15 years ago, because if what they did 15 years ago would have happened today, it would have been a whole different charge, because my nephew in Kansas in the Army had that mentality, like, hey, I got a pack to protect myself. Got chaptered out of the Army and now is sitting in jail in Kansas because he had a gun and took out a gun at a party.
Right.
And so he has that organized crime thing tagged on him.
Yeah.
Because they say, okay, because he was a soldier in the Army, he knew better.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a lot of things out there that you don't learn until, because even right now, when I ask my sister about what's going on with my nephew, she doesn't know, because no one will talk to you within, and he was also a victim of that situation of when he went up to the jail station, talking, running his mouth instead of staying quiet and not saying nothing, without anyone else present.
Right.
So.
And Miss Nika, you were, and I was going to go back, and I'm going to ask Marquise too, and I know what his answer is going to be. But anybody ever think about the music?
Because all the time. The music is that's what influenced the young people, once it's like it gets to the subconscious.
Yeah.
Think about when
that music, and a lot of them don't know that this is just for entertainment. Now, some of them, they may live that lifestyle, but a lot of them don't. You know,
No.
it's crazy because it's like music that uplift people's spirit and feed, you know, into their soul in a positive way is not played on the radio. It's all about sex, money, and drugs and big cars. That you know, they think drug money is what's gonna get them that house. You know,
But
Yes,
every generation, every generation we've had the music that was quote unquote tabooed by the generation above, you know. But the crazy thing about the music now, even our age adults listening to the same music that the kids are listening to.
Yeah.
So it's not even a generational thing. It's just that's what's out there,
Right.
you know.
And I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The Marquis know my playlist. I like a lot of it too, but I don't. What I was wanting to get at and looking at this notebook here and the kids that I have listed, Marquis, do you feel that some young people, males in particular, believe that it's a rite of passage to catch a case?
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, some people do.
You said some?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you listen to the music and all those things that Miss Nikki that you mentioned, but it's also in there about the jail and catching.
Yeah, they don't have a problem with it because I've heard someone say, am I on? Okay, I've heard someone say, hey, I'll just do my time. I'll just do my time. You know, I'll sit it out. I'll sit it out. And I'm like, okay, do you realize what effect that has on the rest of your family? You'll sit it out. So you're telling me instead of fighting for what you know you did was right, or that you didn't do anything wrong, oh, I'll just go sit it out, you know. But I'm not gonna let nobody. And this normally happens with someone saying, hey, just if you get stopped by the police, just, you know, listen to what they're saying, just say what you have to say. Don't say anything out of order to where that will cause them to, you know, you're telling them how to deal with human characteristics. And they think that you're telling them to be a punk, or, you know, oh, I'm not gonna let nobody punk me. I'll just go sit it out. Right. You know, if somebody stop me and tell me they're gonna arrest me because da this and da that, I'll just go sit it out. And you know, my logical mind, that don't make sense to me, but to them that makes sense. Yeah. Because they have their mindset that they're not going to let anyone take advantage of them, defend them, or misuse them or abuse them.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of that may come also just from the amount of exposure that these kids have. You know, a lot of it is through the media, through the music, and through the movies, but, you know, almost everyone knows, you know, someone that's incarcerated or that's doing time or that's, you know, sitting it out. Yeah. And so it doesn't, I know for me, when I was coming up, I mean, it may have been around, but I didn't know anyone, you know, and my cousin was the first person I knew, and I was 24 then. And so I didn't come up with that. So it was something that I was afraid of. You know, it was something that put the fear of God in me, where they don't really have that because their uncle or daddy or, you know, cousin Pookie or somebody is doing some time and they're waiting for them to come home.
Mm-hmm.
Becomes a new norm. It's the new norm.
Yes.
Miss Nika, how old were you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 31.
No, how old were you when you went through your ordeal?
I was 20, how old was I, like 23, 24?
24, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what message would you have? And I know we're talking mothers for sons, but what message would you have for a young woman right now who, you know, just...
I would say it's not worth it, for one, because you pay a high price when you get out. It's the high price. It's a high price, yes, going in, but the real reality checks when you come out, when you realize I'm still in jail without the bars. Yeah. So the advice is, you know, pretty much don't get caught up with fast money. Don't get caught up with the wrong people, because it's to me, it's not worth it. You know what I'm saying? Because your family is going to have to pick up the slack where you can't do. you know. So it's important to have the support team like how y'all doing for y'all children, because some people don't have that, and a lot of people don't make it when they come out.
Right.
So that's what inspired me, because I knew other people as well as myself that was going through it. But I started to notice a lot of people don't want to talk about it because they're embarrassed about it. Everybody want to look like, I'm doing good. When you ask them how you doing, I'm doing good. They never say how they really doing.
And I was thinking
Not
too.
realizing that's their testimony. That's your testimony. How you went through a crisis. You know, sometimes there are so many times God purposely put us through a situation so that when we see somebody else going through that same situation, we'll have that testimony to be able to say, hey, sis, this is how you get out of that. You know, this is how you go through that. Or, hey, my brother, come on, let me help you come up with that, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's why I stress to my nephews, you know, I don't have any children, but when I do have children, I'm going to be on them about, I don't want y'all getting trapped in, because once you're in there, you're in there, you know. And that's how I stress to my own nephews. Look here, stay focused on school, stay focused on what you want to do. Look here, if I see some bad kids, you know, I'm going to talk to them. But I'm also letting them know, look here, that's not the right people to be around.
Okay, don't call them bad kids.
Right.
All right.
No, don't call them bad kids. Just, you know.
All right. We're gonna say Miss Lady.
We'll come up with a word, not even misled. I don't even want no kind of negative connotation on no word that applies to those that we have to uplift, build, develop, and help move forward, you know. Because it still takes a community. It still takes a community, you know.
Yeah.
Still takes a community.
Of community. How much do you guys want to guess? And I have something behind me I want to show before we go offline. But how many of you? I want all of you to think of a number and put it in the chat section. How much do you think it costs to? How much do you think it costs taxpayers a year for one inmate?
Oh, no, I think I might be kind of close. For 1 year?
For 1 year.
1 year? I don't know. I ain't gonna lie.
I don't know, but I'm gonna guess it's up there just because of all of the.
Look, I'm gonna put my. Where am I? Whoa, I got all my homework popping up on the screen.
You Googling?
No, I'm trying to get to the chat box, but when I pressed the button, all my homework came up.
All right, guys, go ahead in the chat. Marquise, you too, in the chat. Go ahead and write down. I'm gonna mute you guys just for a second while I check here. How much do you guys think that it costs a year for one inmate?
I'm going to share something with y'all. Whatever it costs for them to be taken care of in the jail system, someone else gets paid 3 times what it costs. Y'all understand what I'm saying?
Well, that would be an additional cost, though.
No. What I'm saying is, so jails are half privatized and half ran by states. The jail system is privatized.
Well, no, it's not half. You're either private or it's state.
Right. And the ones that are privatized, like, so whatever, like, so for instance, if it costs $56 a day to take care of a person, they make 3 times that amount of money for each prisoner that's in prison. It's a money-making deal. It's a money-making venture.
Yeah.
It's a money-making venture. That's why the mental health, state-run mental health systems don't exist anymore, because they use the jail system as a revolving door for people that are being incarcerated that have mental health disorders.
Mm-hmm.
They make money off of all those people.
Yeah. All right. So I don't know if you guys can see behind me. I'm gonna put it a little bit closer if I can. Put the computer. All right. So the glare is on that. So the high cost of incarceration is, and this is what I want young people to really see, because not only that, if you take the amount of people that are incarcerated, and if a family could put aside $50 a month, that's $600 a year, 1,200, 14, for the amount of time that an average inmate does. Do you know how much money? Not only could they come out and have enough money for their restitution, but they could come out and have enough money to get started, or a little bit to tide them over while they're looking for jobs and things like that. That was my first thought after my son left. I'm like, how much can I put back? Because I put this out, like Miss Brown, Miss Angela said, you know, be careful what we speak. But I put that out there to the universe, and I said, when my son comes home, I want him to have $10,000, $10,000, and that is my goal for the amount of time he's there, and for the amount of time that he's there. I said that is a realistic goal. Now here's the deal, because a lot of times we can't come up with those goals or make that, because number one, it is a money-making thing. So let's first look at it from the operations cost. All right, this was from the federalregister.gov, and I got this last October when we were supposed to do the high cost of incarceration. In Texas, it is $94.82 per day, or $34,304 fiscal year 16. Then I went and looked at 2017. All right, it went up to $99. This is the year my son left. Went up to $99.45, which is $36,299.25 fiscal year 17. Now we know that's fiscal year, October to October, whenever they do their fiscal books. Now, Texas has 3 privately owned prisons. All righty. So in 2018, they looked at the average sentence. The average sentence is 4.2 years. So depending on if it's a lower level crime or things like that, but on average, 4.2 years a person spends incarcerated. That's $62.34 a day. That's by the time they get out, that is $95,633.
Wait, say that again. Say that. You said it's 9 what?
$95,633.
Dang.
Now, the Texas taxpayer, we pay $50 of that. We pay $50, $50.79 per inmate. So as taxpayers, we pay $18,538 a year. And like Ms. Brown is saying, the rest of that is just lining their pockets. It's lining, because if it costs, you know, on average 90 something dollars, and we're paying 50, that other 40 is going to them for some type of profit, if you really think about it or look at it like that. So what I'm saying is, Black people, is if we could somehow ourselves lower our crime rate and begin to, as a community, invest, like you guys have in these programs, where if we could meet the same criteria, say what if everybody in this town that had a family member that was incarcerated, that $50 that they're paying in taxes, they really don't see it. You really don't really think about it. But what if we took $50 a month and we put it into some type of restorative program, whether you have someone incarcerated or not? If we put that $50 into some type of restorative program, we could be able to educate and reform, and not only that, catch these kids before they reach that age of 17. Because y'all know Joseph was 17 when he went to prison. I don't know what it is about, and I share that with my son all the time. I don't know what it is about the age of 17. Now, he was thrown into this situation. His brother sold him. But what I'm saying is he was accused of a crime at the age of 17. And if you
became a ruler too over those same people. So that's the blessing.
If we go all the way back to biblical,
you just gave me a thing. Ooh, you just gave me a.
Guys, we need to focus on that age. We need to focus
on. You just gave me a creating royalty on the way out. That's where's my paper?
They get out of Miss Jones and Miss Brown. One of them, I can't think. I always try to keep up with reading the messages and but someone brought up, and someone was here not too long ago, and I read and I wrote a piece for my master's degree about the push-out girls. And Miss Brown, your daughters fell, or your one daughter, you said was a label, fell into this category. If you get a chance, grab that book, The Push-Out Girls. And what it talks about is how once these young women are labeled, once they are considered the inability maybe to learn, as a teacher, I see too many kids having these folders and these jackets with learning disabilities in them and accommodations that they need to function in the classroom. If we could somehow get to these kids before they reach that threshold, that irrational, because let me tell you, 17, it must be like, and I keep thinking about this, it must be like this, they're not grown.
Think of Piaget, what Piaget says about the cognitive ability at that stage. That's that 15 to 20.
Well, but so 17, they're not old enough. They think they're grown.
That's that figuring out stage. That's that stage where like what Piaget says is that you're trying to figure out where you fit in as an adult. The world says that they're an adult because they're about to be 18, but the way God created our minds is that He has it to where we reach a certain plateau in our development every 5 years. That's not just science. That's just the way God built it. We're not supposed to catapult ourselves into a place where we're not supposed to be until God says that we're supposed to be there. And so I think that pivotal moment of 17 is that moment of reckoning, of looking at what society say I should be becoming, and just having that constant confrontation, that battle, leaving that childhood going into adulthood. That's just my philosophy.
Yeah, and I think like you say, it's just kind of that they're kind of stuck. And Marquise, you were 17 once. What was you thinking at 17?
What I was gonna do.
Trying to figure out what you're about to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's that decision making time, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now let me see how to word this. Are there any decisions that you make today at 20 that you probably couldn't have handled at 17?
No. No,
you think the mindset is still the same?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the truth. He is still, that's the truth, because it's gonna be so crazy. When did you make 21, Marquise?
September.
In September, I'm talking about 3 days after he made 21, we can have this same conversation, and it's gonna be like one of the moments, like he's gonna be like, you know what I was thinking about the other day? I mean, that's just the way it happens. 3 days after 21, that's just like with a baby. When they say, what's the best time period to potty train a child? 10 days after they make 2 years old is the best time to start potty training. It's just, that's just the way God made us. At a certain point in our life is when we're supposed to, they supposed to be having fun from 17 to 25. from, 15 to 20. They're supposed to be having fun. I just had the same conversation with my oldest daughter this morning. From 20 to 25, they're supposed to be in college, getting themselves ready for the next plateau in life. From 25 to 30, they should be going into their careers and their jobs, getting ready to form their families, you know. And if someone is 30 years old still talking about the same thing they was talking about at 15 years old, that person is slowly developing.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, anything else y'all would like to share? I did want to share that, and I do want you guys to help me in some form or fashion. However, you know, we can, you know, like I said, we can decide we can come together again, but how can we reach, especially now with social distancing and stuff like that? I am so afraid that boredom is going to create, and you know, and I go back to my son, and Marquise knows, and Isaiah knows, and Isaiah knows what I do, and I share his story, and a lot of times he'll have kids there, especially when he was in the youth part of it. Now, isn't this ironic? Now, he left here being seen as an adult by the state of Texas, but he gets down to the unit, but because he's 17, he has to be kept separate from the regular population until he turned 18. I don't understand the logic, you know, because if you can be sent away at 17 as an adult, but when you get down there, you know, they with the Rape Act and all that came forth, they can't see them or hear them when they're under.
He's grateful.
That's a law, so they have. So even now, Texas is really fighting with the reform and the House bill. The House bill, of course, that's still sitting, you know, God knows where. It never passed, but the House bill that was supposed to have these 17-year-olds roll back and they can go to juvenile and be seen as a juvenile and not be tried as adult. But again, these different senators and people have stepped in and said it's money. Now, I just showed you they're making billions off our young people. They're making billions off of our men and women. They're making so much money that they said the juvenile system is even worse than the adult prisons. But they're saying now, oh, it would cost too much money for us to take all of those 17-year-olds out and send them back to juvenile. Y'all, it's the money. So going back to the thing that I wanted to do, we're doing all these, this is just my thinking. And I don't know how to put it out there, and I don't even know if anybody would even follow it. This may be a good time. Some people are reporting crime is down. But if we could have a 30-day challenge, and if we could say, okay, people, young people, do not get in trouble for 30 days. I don't care. It's not so much as a speeding ticket. If we could, Nika, couldn't we break the bank? Couldn't we break this system? 30 days.
Look here, you'll see the cops out there trying to pull everybody over, get everybody a speed ticket.
Yeah, but you know what? I thought about that today. They may, if we could get to a place where we, as a people, don't commit crime for 30 days, and it's trying to disconnect. If we don't commit crime for 30 days, I don't care what age, I'm talking everybody, if we could just hold out and not commit a crime for 30 days, I think we could break the system. Because because the 13th Amendment still has slavery in it. Once you become incarcerated, you become a slave. Slavery was abolished, but only
voluntary slave.
Right. Slavery was abolished, but it says only you are a slave of the state if you are incarcerated. If you commit a crime, and I'm not sure why we continue to line these people's pockets when we could take, if we could roll it back and we could take $50 a month and put it in our own resources like other demographics do, Asians do, Hispanics do. If we could take that money and put it back into our own community and raise someone up, we could be down at Bell County, we could be bailing kids out, they could be going home to their families. If I had enough money raised, one of my goals to raise this year, at least once, become 501c and can pull in that type of money. But my goal for this year, I would love to go down for Mother's Day and bail some of these young men out so they could go home to their mothers while they are awaiting trial. But I'm seeing bail set at $250,000, $700,000, $1 million. We get up there, that's but $100,000. Okay, alrighty. I'm seeing bail for $30K, auto theft, joyriding, $50K, evading arrest, $75K.
They got them bonds extremely.
Are those the type bails where you can come up with 20%?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 10%, 20%. It depends on, your bail. It depends on
The bail bondsman.
your bail bondsman. And then again, those bail bondsmen are all stationed and sitting right out there outside of the jail. So when you pass by,
Right around the corner.
That's like one of the best markets to get into. It don't take no money to become a bail bondsman.
right. And right now with the no cash, I was just reading an article today, guys, they are saying that New York was the first one to do it. No cash bail. Well, California was first. New York jumped on board. Other states, I believe Illinois, and maybe one other one. Not Illinois. I think it was Iowa. It was something small. But they jumped on this. But guess what? The numbers have come back, and they said now crime has increased because now no cash bail. You can get out, wait for your trial, or wait your trial without sitting in jail. And the crime has increased, so now they're saying, guess what?
Bringing it back.
We're not gonna. We're now some states that were probably gonna jump on that bandwagon are saying, no, we're not doing it. See, I told you. So my thing is, if we could just begin to see and to teach our young people that you are a slave. If when you go to prison, you are a slave. And Miss Nika, you said it best. You are still in jail. You just don't have the bars.
That would be they always say when you establish a goal, you establish SMART goals. I think the first thing we can do is get with like other organizations to get the word out to just do it like the spoken word events or something like that. Host a spoken word event, bringing youth together, being communicators one to another.
Mm-hmm.
Some kind of community group function to where we can get the word out to the disadvantaged youth. Because that's what they are. They're disadvantaged youth.
Yeah.
Because the system has given up on them.
Right. And and that's another thing too. And I hear what you're saying, Ms. Brown, but we also need to stop thinking that every youth that gets in trouble is disadvantaged, because they're not.
No, well, okay. I'm gonna plead my case with that. What makes them disadvantaged is the system, not us.
Okay.
Because we're trying to bring them up. We're trying to uplift them and build them.
Yeah.
But the system considers them a disadvantaged youth.
Right. I see what you're saying. I see.
Look at the and was like I reside over across the highway from the quote unquote Killeen bad school. Every time I passed by that school when it was in session, I just wanted to just drive up there with 10 buses and take every last one of them kids out of that school. Because they're not getting any type of motivation. Okay, there we go. There we go. But because that's where we know we can reach some youth at. How about that? How about that? How about when school starts back in session, we get together as this organization and see if we can develop a center for just the kids that go to that school.
Right.
A club or organization where what we're doing is we're getting in touch with those mothers and fathers that have children at that school that need other adults to be in their life, to show them that, hey, right now, yes, you because so many of them go from that school to jail. There's that one there. There's the one in Copperas Cove. The one in Copperas Cove was the one that my daughter was in.
Yeah.
Crossroads.
Yeah, it's definitely a school to prison pipeline.
Yes.
And
you know, so I think that like, you know, I love your idea of what you're saying about the money aspect, but I think something that we can do, a goal that we can reach and do it now would be something like that.
Right. Okay, guys, we have about 15 minutes. Let me go through. I want to cover some of the stuff that people are online asking or saying. Let's see. Miss Brown, Rhonda Brown says, we are in a case as mothers. How do we protect, and this is a good one, how do we protect our sons without placing undue fear in them? Fear that cripples them and causes them to become stagnant and afraid to assert themselves in positive ways.
Okay, when we look at the men in the past that have been our leaders, being assertive, there's nothing wrong with being assertive. It's the aggression that causes fear. Okay, so when we look at the politicians and that are being successful in the community, when we look at the community activists that are successful in the community, are they aggressive or are they assertive? They are assertive in the way they deliver what they're saying. We have to teach our young men how to be assertive instead of aggressive, because it's the aggression that causes other people to fear them.
Okay, Miss Rhonda, you got in, so I'm going to mute you. Miss Rhonda, is that what you were thinking? What the other Miss Brown was saying?
Oh, let me turn this. Okay. I don't know what you said. It was breaking up, but I'm happy to be here. I can see y'all closer now. I don't know if y'all can hear me, but yeah.
Yeah, we were covering your comment when you said we're in catch-22. How can we talk to our sons without instilling fear, and then teaching them to be okay to be assertive?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, so that's my comment. I kind of feel like that by me just sharing the realities of what happens in the school system and in the judicial system for little Black boys and brown boys and poor people, poor kids, that maybe that was like, you know, stop them from being all of who they actually could be, because I emphasize more on the, hey, you can't do, and I did. I was fearful. I was full of fear for them. And so I was like, you can't do anything. No, I know you see other people doing it, and other people get by with it, but it's not going to be the same for you. And then I could give them experiences, you know. My, nephew is sitting on the bus and he turns around, and next thing you know, we're in a courtroom and he's having, he's on probation and da-da-da-da-da for something that, you're like, really, did that just happen? And that was middle school. So that's my question. It's like a catch-22. We have to somehow be able to say, you have to be cautious, but you know what? You have the power to change things. I don't know. I have this thing where I feel like, man, did I do harm or did I do good?
Right. I think that a lot of times we have gotten so far away. I call it the front porch counseling, Back in the day where we would all sit on the front porch and somebody older would talk to somebody younger and tell them, you know, hey, you know what, you know, this is how you deal with a situation when this happens. When you come upon this, this is how you deal with it, and give them scenarios from your life. I think that we've gotten to the point where we that's not my problem, or that's somebody else's issue, or you know, I'm not gonna touch that. You know, when we pull away from that mentality and get back to the mentality of being there with the generation that's below us and with the generation that's above us, all three of those generations are going to have to come together in order for this to stop. That's the only way it's going to stop.
Right. Another thing that I know with my sons, because I do have teenagers, one of the things that I do is really just, you know, I can't imagine some of the situations that, you know, some of our young men have found themselves in that landed them in a courtroom or in a jail cell. But with my sons, you know, when I see them just doing things that in my mind are just not, you know, I look at these kids now and I'm like, they do things that just doesn't make sense. You know, I will bring them in and say, you know, let's talk about this. So it's almost like a role playing. So Ms. Rhonda, instead of, you know, instilling the fear in the child, it's how could you have handled that better? You know, so that they're not completely paralyzed as far as not saying anything. But before you open your mouth and insert your foot, you know, let's have a dialogue about what this should look like or how it could look. And it doesn't guarantee us as parents and as loved ones that they still won't get into trouble, but it gives them some tools that they can use in the event that they run into someone in a position that wants to usurp their authority and try to hold something over our children. They can say, you know what, I have an attorney. I'm not going to talk to you until I get an attorney. And they don't have to be disrespectful about it. They don't have to have, you know, the as Ms. Angela was saying, you know, you don't have to be aggressive about it, but I know my rights. So I'm just going to sit here and not say anything until you get me an attorney. And just having them role play that so that if they end up in that situation, it's not foreign to them.
Right, and I think that's the main thing, is teaching our kids how to respond and to have to be knowledgeable enough, know what your rights are. Now, again, we can't control who stops our children, who puts their hands on them and things like that, because I have seen it reversed where they tend to think, oh, you're uppity or you know too much. You don't know. My mom brings it up. You just don't know who's going to pull you over. You don't know what kind of attitude you're going to have. You know, nothing. I don't think anything prepares you for the situation unless you're in it. All right, one more before let me look at a few more. As an educator, I was hyper-vigilant at letting students know the truth of school and the prison system. At all levels, I understood the danger of our children being in the system. I'm going to mention that real quick. Being in the system with people who can be ill-intentioned toward them without cause. And it's that is some people out there that just want to make sure, and I've talked with some of them, they just always nitpicking and looking at something. Another one, the music is part of the culture of violence. It is utilized to hype them up to do unthinkable to us. This has been told to me by young men that have had these experiences.
Say it again, please. I didn't hear you.
Okay, this comment here, it says, we're talking about the music. These are some people that chimed in online. It says the music is part of the culture of violence. It is utilized to hype them up to do what is unthinkable to us. This has been told to me by young men that have had these experiences. And I believe that was Ms. Rhonda. And let me see, there was some more. If you guys want to take this down about the private school, that's Carolyn Turner, that's Monarch Academy. I couldn't think of it before. That's Monarch. Going back to, let's see. Phyllis Jones says, yes, Texas State and NAACP is filing against the non-release of some. They are filing against the governor. So the NAACP is stepping up and filing, him rolling back, going back on his word to say those inmates will be released. they're only testing inmates that are, they only test the inmates that are already sick. And, lockdown states, county inmates are being moved back. What? Miss Wanda? You said
Yeah,
county inmates are being moved back to Travis County?
yeah. Wait, okay, so, oh, am I unblocked? So I have, the Hayes County fills up, it's small. So they send their inmates out. So there's an inmate in Travis County that now they're sending to Travis County. They said that their contract was denied or something. That was what the person I was talking to, that was rumored. But then now they are starting to send them from Travis back to Hayes. So there's no room at Hayes. That was the reason why they sent them out. So we don't know what's gonna happen. They've been given some, really good, I guess, if they plead guilty, some really good deals like time served or maybe just a little more time, things like that. The person that I'm talking to, he's been locked up in the jail for a year now on capital murder charges, and it's just the courts just postpone, and so he hasn't had his day in court. He hasn't been found guilty of anything, but yet and still he's in behind bars. He has asthma. Up until last week, they didn't have masks. They were not doing any social distancing. That just started this week. And then they put them on lockdown. And so they kind of do the shifts with eating. But nothing, it's just now beginning to, that they're beginning to do anything to protect them. They've moved some people around, I guess, in different pods where somebody might have been sick. But that's where they are now. So now he's looking at moving anytime from Travis County back to Hayes.
Right.
In Travis County, they're supposed to have they're more liberal with their personal recognizance bonds, their PR bonds. So they got people out of there in Travis, but now they were holding Hayes people, hoping that the Hayes County people would do the same. But they haven't. They're taking them back, and he doesn't have any idea what's going to happen when he goes back to Hayes County. Okay. So we'll just kind of wait and see. And young man, graduate of Shoemaker, and he turned 24 just the other week. So.
Okay. All right. We have about less than 5 minutes. I want to, because we have a young person on the line, and then we'll have you guys kind of chime in and share for the next minute. But Marquise, are you still there? Marquise, you still there?
Yeah.
Marquise, is there anything that you like, if a young person, and I'm hoping this will get out, but a young person listening, what would you, now you're in Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a little, I know you tell me all the time. I know we went to visit Oklahoma. Even we were really, the kids were young. They were like, Mom, it's weird here. But as far as you being in Oklahoma and being in school in the last couple of years and stuff, how have you been able to really keep yourself from falling into that or getting into a scenario where, like she was saying, just that fear, and also just because you're very assertive. You're my baby. I know that. You're very assertive. How do you keep yourself from getting into a situation that you really don't know if you could get out of?
Stay inside and don't let people influence me.
Yeah. Now, you feel like Miss Rhonda was saying, do you feel like it's just a lot of things you just can't do?
What do you mean?
Like, do you feel, she was saying earlier, like with her boys, she just kept, telling them that, just because everybody else is doing it, you can't do it because of the color of your skin or because you're a male, or do you feel like you keep yourself inside? Is it out of fear or is just smart?
That's just me. I like being inside. I really don't even talk to nobody like that. Like, it's just me.
Okay. So you're more of an introvert.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. And have you ever been encountered or felt like you've been in a situation where it was, maybe something was said to you or you were treated a certain way because of the color of your skin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was with Isaiah, actually.
It was with Isaiah?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Do I know this story?
I don't think so.
Do I need to hear it on air?
Yeah, I can share.
Okay, go ahead and share. Don't have me crying. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so we was going to a friend's house. This was like 5th grade probably. And it was hot. It was in the summertime. It was hot. So Isaiah brought a backpack and it had water in it and stuff. And it had a football in there too. And we was walking like up Silver Springs, and this cop, female cop, like white lady cop, like drove past us, and like she was kind of like trailing us, like just driving slow behind us, and while we was walking, and then she just pulled over, and then it was like she got out and she said, "Let me see what's inside of your bag," and like. Me and Isaiah, like, we didn't even think nothing of it really. Like, we was just kind of like naive. Like, we just gave her the bag and stuff, and she just checked it. And it was just like be careful or something. Like, she said something like, "All right, that's good," or something like that, and just walked off. And she drove and stuff, and like just went about her day. Like, stopped us for no reason.
Wow. And you were in 5th grade.
Yeah.
And y'all used to walk, or you probably heading to the basketball court. And see, that's the thing another thing, 5th grade, and here you are, 20 years old, about to be 21, and I'm just hearing that story. And I think, I've heard similar situations, even like me as a teacher, and I've had kids come to me later. And I had a student that basically he witnessed something. His parents had to move out of state. And this is when I taught at Nolan. And he was falling asleep during the test, and he wasn't taking the test, and it was star time. And I kept talking to him, and finally he went outside the classroom, and he just broke down on my shoulder, and he started crying. He had been holding it in for about a week. That on the way home from school, one of these guys, and I have them, I think, in my book too, they finally got arrested. I was tracking that. He witnessed something. They thought he was going to snitch. And he said, "I finally had to tell someone because it was eating him up." He knew what happened to his friend, but he didn't want to get labeled as a snitch. But he was trying to go to school and function every day, and never told anybody that he was shot at on the way home. But he still came to school the next day. Backpack, he went down in this little trench thing. He said, "Miss Fears, if I wouldn't have jumped down into that trench, I'd probably be dead right now." He said, he said, "I just heard it whiz by my ear." But he came to school the next day. And so I don't know if our young people know how to process all of this, that now it's just becoming, what did you say, Nika? The new normal. It's just normal.
I'll tell you something else that's strange that I know a lot of people do not even know about. You know, the police department gets so much money for not being racial profilers. So they send up these reports, these monthly reports saying that they are a community that is known for not being racial profilers. Okay, so, and then they'll get like funded X amount of dollars. If y'all look in the Chamber of Commerce, not Chamber of Commerce, if y'all look at the City Council report for Harker Heights, in February, they were awarded so much money for not being police officers that have racial profiling on their staff. And I'm pretty sure Killeen PD probably got some too.
Yeah.
But if we don't know about things like that are taking place, we don't say nothing. But if we were saying something to somebody, yes, we were racial profiled, even in a situation like that as a 5th grader, bring it to someone's attention that these children were racially profiled by a police officer, then they can stop giving all this money to them for quote unquote not being racial profilers. Yeah. So that's some of the things that take place. They actually get money for not being racial profilers.
Wow. Well, guys, our time, I guess it's getting dark here. I guess my light, I don't have a light on, but our time is up. And I just want to say that I hope that this was some benefit to you. I hope we had some good sharing. And that's basically all I would just round to, just talking. We have to be able to talk about it, maybe see what's going on in our community. I know, Rhonda, you're deeply involved. Phyllis is deeply involved. You know, she's on the radio. You know, she has that platform. I went to the radio station and did an interview with her one time. We have Texas Black Pages. We have a lot of people that are doing some good. And I think what we have to, I'm going to unmute you all. I think what we have to do is we have to be able to talk about things, maybe come together more often, but not just talking, figure out a way that we can do. Without work is dead. We have to be able to work, and we need to network with some people in our community that can be an influence. I don't know, I always pray daily that God is raising up somebody somewhere to use their power, their ability, and so we in the place where we can be able to network and have people that are able to assist us in what it is that we want to do. You said Reform Alliance aims to dramatically reduce the number of people unreasonable probation or parole. Yes, it makes sense to do all that, come out and then have all that parole still tacked to you. Lisa, go ahead and mention your organization one more time.
Criminal discrimination.
Criminal
discrimination.
Criminal discrimination. All righty.
And I want to share this the meeting that we're doing. So is this going to be on your page, Ms. Carla?
Yes, I will be able to. I'll be able to share it with you.
Okay.
All righty, guys. Well, we're gonna go. I hate to go because I know there's so much more we could talk about. And
are we going to set up a quarterly get together, a monthly, or what?
Sure.
You know, do things at the same day, same time.
If you guys want to meet again, let's see what we can do. Some things. So this is I would love to meet before school is out, because even though school is out, they're not in front of computers and stuff, and maybe, like you say, we can put together some things.
This is like fourth Thursday. Normally, I'm at the Body of Christ Community Clinic on first and third Thursdays. You know, and so once everything lifts back up, I won't be available on those 2 evenings, but I'll be available on the fourth Thursday.
Okay. All right, let's talk offline. You guys message me and tell me what your thoughts are, what you would like to see. And maybe we can, even if we set small goals, something tangible, something that then we feel like every time, okay, we've accomplished this, and then we just begin to continue to build upon it. And let's be able to network and help each other out. If there's, Angela with things that you do, Nika with things that you do, Rhonda with things that you do, and let's try to be supportive. Renata, I know you've got a lot of things going on out. Renata is amazing. I'm telling you, Renata will be at your stuff. Renata will support you, and she is just that.
Not male.
Yeah, who said that?
That's me. See?
Well, here's something that, real quickly, here's something that I think
you ran head out of one meeting into another.
Okay. I was going to say, here's something I think that just briefly that we could do before we meet again. You mentioned that Ms. Phyllis had something on there saying that the NAACP was actually putting something together to try to address the fact that they were rolling back on trying to let some of the inmates out. So if we could either try to get with the local NAACP and join in with them, or ask them what they need from us, if that's a letter to congressman or a call or an email.
I'm actually an NAACP member. Last night we were talking to Miss, God, I can't even think of her name, Warren. I can't think of her first name, but y'all know what I'm talking about. But she came online with us last night and talked to us about different initiatives. Well, last night's initiative, we was talking about the school, what's going on with the schools and everything. And so I'll email one of the members and see what they said about us getting information to get. What was that committee again?
I think it was Ms. Phyllis that Carla was mentioning, that she said that the NAACP was already working on or pushing back toward the Congress, since they rolled it back on their, I guess, I don't know if it was a promise or that they were going to actually start releasing some prisoners, but whatever they're working on. Okay. Before we meet again, if we can each just reach out to the NAACP, or if you want to send our information to Ms. Carla and she disseminate that to us. But if they need us, whether that's a phone call or an email or whatever they need, if we could just reach out to our respective networks, whether that's on Facebook or Instagram or whatever you use, and ask people to actually make that action, whatever that is. The other thing that we might do is Color for Change. That's a national organization, but anytime something comes up, I know when they were trying to get the stay of execution for the Texas inmates some months back, they're involved with a lot of different initiatives. But if we could put together something that just says what's going on and what is happening, they can't be everywhere, so they don't know everything that's going on. And I think they usually specify something that's, related to people of color. So I know that, if it's an initiative to release people, that they would say that that's not just people of color. But if we can find out what the NAACP has written up to present to Congress and send that over to Color for Change and just see if they'll pick it up. They have a very large email list and they send things out and ask people, sign this petition or make these calls.
Yes. Okay. All righty. That sounds good. All right. So we have some things to do. Miss Rhonda, I'll get back with you. Miss Angela, I'll get back with you guys, let you know when we can meet again. And I think so. The first thing I think I'd like to kind of join in, like I said, with Miss Rhonda and with you guys, and let's see what they're doing, because we all, we all have a stake in this. We all have somebody that we may know that is in the system, and it hits home. And if not anything, a lot, like you say, a lot of, our young people and things like that have moved out and in the system somewhere here in Texas. So I think it affects us all. And so let's look at that. And if we have to do, like you say, some letter writing or some petitioning and things like that to say, hey, Bell County's on board with this, then let's start there. And then the next thing we'll look at is maybe trying to figure out some things that we can put together, or some creative ways to kind of reach our youth, especially during social distancing and with school about to be out. I see a lot of kids out walking and playing. One of my friends down the street, she's a teacher, and she texted me and said that they ring her doorbell and they run. They're playing, but still, I don't want boredom to end up being where, somebody gets trespassing or something like that, and these people with these guns and stuff just take it to a whole nother level. So again, we got to teach our kids that okay, y'all, I'm getting a whole nother conversation, but I love you guys. I thank you for the support, and we'll be in touch again soon. You guys message me, go on Mothers for Sons, maybe do a comment, let me leave a review, something about tonight, and let's get some attention going. Oh, and on the website, post your stuff, a link to your page, something, so then we can start, our friends will like your stuff, and also so we can grow this thing, okay?
Thanks for pulling this together, Carla.
All righty. Thank y'all for supporting. All righty. Bye-bye.